You may be asking yourself, how do I become a remote pilot? Well, there are two paths, one for current pilots and a separate one for everyone else. Our own Paul Harrop has the tale of two new drone pilots, each taking a different path.
This zipper is a hangar door. This Phantom drone is an aircraft, and Chris Rose just qualified for his remote pilot certificate.
The home point has been updated. Take off.
I don't think it's really sank in yet. I've only had it for a couple of days.
He's letting me tag along for a practice flight.
I've been flying the drone for a while, but I guess I feel maybe a greater sense of responsibility now.
Chris is a world-class photographer. Many of the photos you see in AOPA Pilot come from his lens. But the commercial drone certificate will be a game changer, allowing him to get angles that you just can't get any other way.
It definitely gives you an extra arrow in your quiver, I guess, when it comes to putting together video packages.
And with the precision of an archer, Chris keeps his eye on the target. But Chris wasn't always buzzing about actually becoming a pilot.
I was sort of in the middle of flight training when September 11th happened and so many regulations popped up.
But now Chris is a pilot and awaits his certificate under Part 107. John Collins is the chief flight instructor for the AOPA Air Safety Institute. He's been a CFI for years, but also earned his remote pilot certificate this week.
I kind of fell into this. I was not looking to do any specific drone operations.
But if there's one thing John loves as much as flying, it's being a scout leader. And when a training course director wanted some aerial shots, John earned another merit badge from the FAA.
And I thought, well, I can use a drone and take those pictures for you.
And that led him to take the FAA's online course.
It was pretty straightforward, a good review of regulations, airspace, things I needed to know as a drone operator, a little bit different from being an airplane pilot.
For current pilots, the drone ticket is actually pretty easy.
So it's a 2-hour course that you take, and then you go on through IACRA and become a 107 pilot.
Kat Swain is AOPA's drone guru. She says it's a bit more involved for non-pilots. You've got to go to an FAA knowledge testing center.
You take a 60-question FAA Part 107 test on different subject areas.
Once you pass that, you fill out a form on IACRA, submit to a background check from Big Brother at TSA, and like that, you're a pilot. But don't fire up the quadcopter just yet. Chris says the test for non-pilots is not something to just drone over.
Just because of working for AOPA, I knew a little bit, but I think I knew just enough to think that I knew more than I did.
But with some study, you'll be buzzing about your new ticket in no time.
And joining us now in the studio is AOPA photographer Chris Rose. Chris, congratulations on earning that pilot certificate. I know that's a big accomplishment for you.
Thank you. I'm excited about it.
Well, tell us, the FAA kind of has a history of sneaking some landmines into its written tests. Did you notice any gotchas in this one?
I did actually find a few gotchas in it. I started out with by going to the FAA site and taking the Part 61 test, and felt like that would kind of prep me for taking the Part 107 test for non-pilots. And I felt pretty confident coming out of that. But when I started studying for the non-pilot test, I realized that there was a lot of information that I didn't know, and then when I actually took the test, I realized that there was some information that sounded a lot like the questions that were in the study guide, but actually there was just a few minor tweaks to them. And as you know, just a couple of words can make a big difference between a right question and a wrong question.
Well, they can't make it too easy on you. Tell me, what did you use to prepare for the test?
Well, I used ASA study guide. I think they did a pretty good job. When I first went through the study guide prior to taking the test, I realized that there was a lot of information to cover, more than I even expected. And I thought for a while that maybe because they didn't know what was actually going to be on the test, that maybe the information was almost a little too comprehensive for drone pilots. But when I went to take the test, I realized that a lot of that information did appear on the test. So I'm glad I went a more formal route with studying.
Glad you studied hard on that. What was it that you had to spend the most time studying to really comprehend?
Well, the majority of the test, probably at least 50% of the tests seem to be airspace questions. And as you know, airspace is just a really complicated, it's complicated to wrap your head around, and especially in this area it is. So I tried to focus on that, but that was probably the stuff that I found the hardest to comprehend. There was also some weather questions on there, things like reading METARs and TAFs, and that was a little tricky for me also. But
Well, congratulations. We all look forward to what you're going to be able to do with the drone in AOPA Pilot and here for us on AOPA Live, so really excited about that. And if you would like to follow Chris's footsteps and study, the FAA has a website with all the information you need. You can find that link there on your screen. So Tom, a very exciting time to be in aviation. We're seeing an influx of certificated pilots, even if their aircraft are a little bit smaller.
Right, and when we welcome those, congratulations, Chris. We'll look forward to seeing some of that footage start to show up in the show, and also some still photography in the magazine coming from the drones. It'll be interesting to see how that goes.